Okay. Um, so, hello everybody. I am Srinidhi. I have just passed PLAB 1 in May this year, and I'm about to give my PLAB 2 in November. But, oh, can you guys hear me, by the way? Can you guys hear me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm about to give PLAB 2, but um, everything about PLAB 1 is still pretty fresh. So I thought we could have this session to explain what exactly PLAB, yeah, UKMLA is, because the UK system is very confusing and it's not the same as India nor USA. And I'm sure you must have heard of residency in the USA, and over there you get into like a college, right? You match into residency, but it's not like that in UK. Um, so okay, I'm gonna start. What is the UKMLA? Before it was called PLAB, now it's called UKMLA. There is no main change that you need to worry about. That's all fine. Actually, the main change is with the medical students in UK. So now it's called UKMLA. It's called United Kingdom Medical Licensing Assessment. And once you have passed UKMLA 1 and 2, which I'll discuss later, you get a GMC registration, General Medical Council registration. If you have, passed from Delhi or Rajasthan, you must have heard of Delhi Medical Council registration, DMC registration, GMC, RMC registration. So it's pretty much the same thing. GMC registration is basically a license to practice in the UK as a doctor. It's not a PG course, it's not a PG certificate, none of that. It is just a license that you can practice as a junior doctor in the UK. So it allows you to apply for jobs in the UK as a doctor. This can be a non-training job or a training job. The training job is basically the PG of UK. It's all just jobs. There's no concept of MD course like in India. You don't go to a college. You don't even go to a specific hospital. You pretty much beg for jobs when you go to UK. You get your GMC registration, apply with your CV and your portfolio, and hope that you get an interview call back. So you apply to hospitals for a post and work within that trust. What is a trust? Trust is basically a group of hospitals in a certain area. For example, if I want to work in Watford, which is close to UK, which is close to London, there will be a trust in the Watford, and there will be multiple hospitals that come under that trust. If you are working in that trust, they can switch you in between the different hospitals. Okay, so there's no like college, like I want to apply to Cambridge or Oxford for a MD course. You will, if you want to have your name associated with them, it will be applying to hospitals associated with the college, but there's no college for MD. So there are two main exams that come in the UKMLA, which is PLAB basically. UKML AKT, which is step 1, and UKMLE CPSA, which is step 2. So UKMLA AKT applied knowledge test is in 180 MCQs within 3 hours. So each MCQ will give you 1 mark. There's no negative marking, so you can attempt all of them. And the passing is different every year. It might be 112, might be 118. Maximum till now I've seen is 120 for passing. Anything above that, you pass, and you don't need to worry if you get 121 or if you get 180. It doesn't matter. It is a pass and fail exam. UKMLA 2 CPSA, which is Clinical Professional Skills and Assessment, is an OSCE exam. There are 16 OSCE stations, and all of them are 8 minutes each. So there are many different kinds of stations. It could be a history taking station, a prescription station, just an examination station, SimMan, which is like a simulator mannequin, that station. Ethical scenarios, it could be patient has come and you have to break bad news to the patient, or a patient is angry because of something, a mistake a doctor has made, or a colleague. There are even stations where a colleague is drinking and you can smell alcohol on them. How will you approach that? So it could be anything. There are 16 rooms basically that you have to enter and finish it within 8 minutes, and you'll get marked based on that. This is also a pass fail exam, but you have to pass a certain set number of stations, and you have to also score a set number of marks in order to pass this. Okay, so like I said, there is no entrance test for PG in the UK. There are just jobs. You apply for jobs. If you have graduated from India after MBBS, you do your internship, you get your GMC registration, and there's no match. okay? You just have your portfolio. So this is only a job hunt to land an interview and get accepted. This is why IMGs can apply for any specialty if they want to work towards it, right? There's no, like, you're not getting mashed into surgery. You're not trying to get mashed into internal medicine. You have a portfolio. You build that portfolio towards medicine or surgery or GP, whatever you want, and apply to jobs for that. So there's no this thing, IMGs don't get surgery. There are seniors that I know have gotten into ortho, they've gotten into general surgery. There are so many subspecialties in internal medicine itself, which are much more developed than they are in India. So there's a lot of options. So then how do you become a specialist? If there's no PG, there's no MD course. There's something called certificate of completion of training. This is basically, you can say that this is your certificate of MD. And there are the Royal College examinations. So once you have gotten into a training job, which is different from a non-training job, I'll explain that, I'll come to that. Once you finish that, by the time you finish that, you would have to finish your Royal College exams. MRCP for internal medicine, MRCS for surgery, MRCOG for gynae, they're all different exams. So on your own time, you can pass the 2-3 steps of these exams, and you have to pass them before you finish your training, which is around 3 years. Okay, that is called core training. Core training is 2 to 3 years. And then you do specialist training after that, which is like a super specialization for 4 to 6 years, depending on which specialty you've gone for. And then you get a CCT, which is your certificate for completion of training. Okay, so you've passed UKMLA 1, you've passed UKMLA 2. Now what to do, right? Like I said, you apply for GMC registration. There's a lot of, like documents that you have to get through. And if you passed and you did 1 year during COVID, they'll need a separate document for that from your college. So there's a lot of just admin work to do, but it is all over within 1 to 2 months. But you have to apply for GMC registration within 2 years of your passing. I can't think of a reason why you might not do that, but if something else comes up and you're not able to, within 2 years, you have to apply for your GMC registration. Once you get your GMC registration, you apply for a training job or non-training job. So I'll come to this. Before that, somebody had also asked me about saturation. Everybody thinks there's saturation in the UK. They're not taking in more IMG doctors. That is not true. It's not like they're not taking more IMG doctors. The problem is that more IMGs are applying for the posts. Competition is increasing, not saturation. Like you can say, even people who gave NEET PG last year compared to people giving NEET PG this year, there's so many more people, right? Your competition is increasing. The same way in UK, competition for job applications is also increasing. That doesn't mean you don't try, right? Just because NEET PG competition is increasing, you don't not give NEET PG. Everywhere competition is going to increase over time. It has been a significantly more increase than the rest in the UK, yes. But that all depends on your portfolio, on your interview preparation, on your CV and all of that stuff, and how much clinical experience you have. So what has changed is that previously average time to get a job from GMC registration was 3 to 6 months. Now it's taking an average of 7 months to get a job from the time you start applying for jobs till you actually land a job. So this is the difference. And in all this time, people, what they usually do is they join a JR, non-acad JR post in Delhi or wherever, whichever city you're from, and they earn money, which they can, eventually use to sustain themselves in the UK. And they get more time with friends and family in India. So there is more time until you get a job, but that's pretty much it. There's no need to get demotivated. I'm not going to get a job. Saturation is happening. You just work towards it. There's more competition, but we're medicals. There's always competition everywhere. What is a training and non-training job? This is so frustrating to understand, but I've tried to make it as simple as possible. In India or wherever you're from, usually there is only one internship after your MBBS, right? In the UK, there are 2 years of internship, and this is called foundation year training. So once we finished for 1 year of internship, they expect you to work for 1 more year in any department, and that is called your FY2. So when you do apply to UK, you say my internship, which is FY1 equivalent. So as it says here, FY1 equivalent to 1 year internship after college, and then FY2, which is equivalent to another year as a non-acad JR in any department. But because you need to build your portfolio, supposing I want to become a cardiologist, I will try to do non-acad JR-ships in cardio departments or internal medicine departments, acute medicine, something like that. That is all up to you, but it can be in any department. All right. But there are also many terminologies for FY2. It can also be called a junior clinical fellow, JCF, a senior house officer, clinical teaching fellow. It's all the same level, but it's different types of jobs. Like over here, we'll have medical officer, right? RMO, resident medical officer, and junior resident. But they're both, in the end, they're the same thing, right? You're an MBBS graduate who is working as a doctor, but is not doing their MD or they're not doing their training. So as the same thing, non-training job is basically before you have gotten into training for internal medicine, surgery, GP, whatever. That is called your non-training job. Junior clinical fellow is usually in a specific specialty like cardio, endo, surgery. Senior house officer is basically like RMO. And clinical teaching fellow is also you're working in a hospital, you're doing some shifts, but mainly your job is to teach medical students. For example, over here, if you do a non-acad JR-ship in anatomy or physiology, if some of you have done it, you might know you basically just do demo classes, you teach during BH and all of that stuff. So it's similar to that. These are all non-acad JR-ships. And you need to do one more year of non-acad JR before you do training in the UK. So what most people do to reduce their time to get to the UK, they apply for the second year of their internship, FY2, in the UK itself. And over there, they, build their portfolio, do the audits, research, whatever, teaching, all of that stuff. They do in the UK itself and then apply straight to the training job. Or you can finish it in India, try to build your portfolio in that much time and apply directly to training jobs. Is there any confusion in this till now? This is very confusing. It took me ages to understand this. So any questions about this?
Just one question, Srinathi.
Yeah.
So the internship in India is for 1 year. You complete 1 year, you clear your PLAB exams or UKMLA, and then you go there. And when you want to apply for your jobs, if you want to apply for CT1 or ST1, the first year of your training job, it is a must that you should have done a FY2, is it? Or an equivalent in India?
Yeah. There's something called a CREST form. So
okay.
A CREST form is basically a form that certifies that you have done 2 years after your MBBS. So in that, your FY2 will come. For example, if I finish one more year of non-training job in India, I'll have to get that CREST form signed. Only then I can apply for training jobs. So you do need to have at least 2 years of work experience after you finished final year. So the CREST form can be signed by a consultant in the UK or in India, either of them. But you do have to work at least for 1 year after your MBBS, 2 years after your MBBS.
Right. And this, to fill in the CREST form, the second year or the additional 1 year, if I do it in India, it doesn't matter where I work, or has it got to be a quite accredited teaching hospital?
Yeah. It does have to be at a hospital with, no, it doesn't have to be in a teaching hospital. Actually, I think I need to do a little more research on that. I'll find out about this specific, which kind of hospital you can work at. But as far as I know, the CREST form has a consultant, a senior consultant that has to sign it, who was overseeing your work. And there's a bunch of eligibilities in that. Have you done these many procedures? And basically, it certifies how much experience you have. And how many times you've done that procedure. How many times, supposing surgery, how many times have you observed a lab coli or things like that. So CREST form is quite a long form. You can search it online and
sure.
But yeah, 2 years for sure.
Thank you.
No problem. FY2 is the JR-ship we do in India. It doesn't have to be done in India. Ideally, doing it in the UK is better, since then it'll give you NHS experience. Some training jobs, they prefer that you have some NHS experience, you've worked or you've done some observership or attachment. But yeah, you can do it as a JR-ship in India as well. How do you complete FY2 in India? You, again, the same way, you just apply for jobs in India. You must have heard of your seniors doing like non-acad JR-ships in your state, any state. You just go to a hospital you want to work at, give them your CV, and wait for a call from them ki we have this post open, you can join us, or you can apply for a specific post. It's not hard to get a JRship in India. But most people, to reduce their time to get to the UK, they do their FY2 in UK itself. It gives them a really good understanding of the system before they are thrown into a training job and have a lot of responsibilities to take. How do we need to clear UKMLA step 1 and 2? Yeah, because you cannot. In India, no. In India, you just need your internship completion form and your registration to do a JRship. In UK, to work as a doctor in anywhere, you need a GMC registration, which is what UKMLA is for. You can't practice in any country without having a registration of their own, of their country. Ideal time to start prep for UKMLA 1, you can start in final year or internship. See, when you book your UKMLA 1, it's going to be months in advance. Like the seats run out around 8-9 months before the exam even is given. So you'll have a lot of time after you book your exam to prepare for it. You can start thinking of it when you book it itself, like in internship, in final year. Because it takes only 4 to 6 months to study for UKMLA 1. It's very easy. We'll go through it. We'll do questions. Stay on the call. We'll go through the MCQ bank. I'll show it to you. It's not hard at all. If I want to move abroad, then just getting a GMC registration and later doing 1 year of FY2. Yeah, you can... basically, you get GMC registration, finish your UKMLA exams, and you apply to jobs in the UK. You can start working there as a non-acad JR. There are a lot of eligibility criteria for the training, actually. So that's... If I complete 1 year internship in India, I start with FY2 or FY1. If you've completed 1 year internship in India, your FY1 is over. Your FY1 is your internship. It is 1 year of experience after medical college. Is a 7-month wait period before for FY2 or core training. 7-month wait period is just the average amount of time it is taking for people to get a job. Like they're applying to hundreds and hundreds of jobs. You get a call back for an interview for maybe 2 of them, 3 of them. You give the interview, and it all depends on how fast you can land the job. If you've done like an observership in a hospital, say you've built a lot of connections, you've spoken to all the consultants there, HR se bhi dosti kar li, and then they get an opening, they will recognize you. They might prefer you because you've worked in their hospital itself. So it all depends on a lot of factors if you're getting a job or not. So 7 months is the average time it is taking for people to join. Here, like you asked, where else is a GMC registration? Valid form of registration or training. Registration ke baad, you have to work for maybe a year or 2 in the UK in order to go to other countries like Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, UAE, Gulf countries, India, all of that. All of this depends on which country you want to go to. But a lot of people go to UK, then go to Australia after that. Okay, so I'll just I'll go over the entire structure ek baar jaldi se, so you can get a better idea. Okay. So we have 3 main exams. I haven't mentioned this one yet, but to apply for UKMLA 1, you have to give something called the English Proficiency Exam, which is your IELTS or your OET. It can be either of them. You can choose. We'll come to that. We'll come to the choosing after this. If we do FY1 and UK2, would it strengthen our portfolio? It will give you NHS experience, yes. But usually people don't do that because you need your final year passing certificate in order to apply for UKMLA 1, okay? You need to have passed final year to apply for UKMLA 1. That's why people don't start in first and second year, because there's so much to do before you can apply. Then we have UKMLA 1, which is the MCQ exam. And then we have UKMLA 2, which is the OSCE exam. And then you apply for jobs, right? But there's so much more in between all of this. First step is to give your English exam, because only once you have the results can you apply for step 1 seats. You won't be able to, even choose your step 1 seat before this. So first you clear IELTS, OET. It takes 1 to 3 weeks to prepare for that. If you're really good at English, you can take just 1 week. If you need some prep, 3-4 weeks is enough. Okay. Then over here you make a GMC online account. GMC online account. Okay. This is the account from which you'll be booking your PLAB 1, your PLAB 2. All of the information will be on this. GMC online account. All right. This is once you can make it before or after your English exam, it doesn't matter. But you have to have this made. Okay, get this through because it asks you a lot of questions. Ki, college में ये क्या था, वो क्या था, all of that. You've made your GMC online account. You waited for on the GMC online account. It will tell you when the seats will be released for PLAB 1, for UKMLA 1. This is very important because the seats, like you must have seen with the Coldplay queuing and all, it's not that bad obviously, but the seats run out almost on the same day that it's released. So when the seats are released, you sit on the day that it's released and you book your PLAB 1 the same day. That means you have to have your English results, you have to have a GMC online account by the time it has been released, right? So you book your seat, and iske beech mein you can study here jitna bhi. So this is your study time for PLAB 1. You've given PLAB 1 3 hours, 180 MCQ account. Now, after around 1 month, you'll get your results for PLAB 1, your MLA 1. Okay, you got your results. And on the same day that the results are released, you can book your PLAB 2. You can book your MLA 2. So you book your MLA 2. And usually it differs from how long the people want. You have to take care of a lot of things and consider a lot of things before you book your PLAB 2. First is your flights. Usse even more important is visa. Are you taking a visit visa? Do you already have a visa? Do you have a proper accommodation to stay? And the UKMLA 2 takes place in Manchester. In the UK. So according to that, you have to book your flights, you have to get your visa, which is around 10k rupees. I'll come to the cost after all this, and your accommodation. Most students, they go to the UK around 1 month before their UKMLA 2, and they practice with other students. A main part of UKMLA 2 preparation is just pretending that you're the doctor, getting a friend to pretend that they're the patient, and practice. So in Manchester, there's a lot of academies where students come and they all just get together and practice every day until their exam. But it's not necessary to go to an academy. It's not necessary that you have to, take offline classes, sit for 8 to 9 hours just before your exam there. There are many online tutors that can teach you. So that you can teach all the history, you can learn all the history taking, all of that stuff, and then just go to the academy, buy access to the academy to just find other students and practice. So these are the three main things to take care of before you decide, like when you decide when you want to book your PLAB 2. I personally booked my PLAB 2 6 months after my PLAB 1 because I wanted to work as a JR for 2 months in between. I wanted some work experience. I didn't want a really big career gap because GMC asks you what were you doing in this career gap, what, were you working somewhere, vagera. It's not. So you get your flight sorted, you get your visa sorted, you get your accommodation sorted, and you get your academy sorted. You have to book your offline mocks. Offline mocks is very important. Yeah. Offline mocks, at least do 2 offline mocks in the UK, in Manchester, before you give your PLAB 2. Okay, we've got that done. Then we've passed, let's assume we've passed UKMLA 2. Around 1 week after the exam, you'll get your results. Okay. And now you have to start getting all your documents together to apply for GMC registration. Okay, GMC registration, there's a lot of documents. You can see that online, what all you need. All right. Iske beech mein, you're still in the UK, right? Over here, you're still in the UK. You can go for something called clinical attachment or an observership. Clinical and attachment observership is you're just going to a hospital for 2 to 4 weeks or however long they allow you, and just observe what's going on. And you can, to gain extra points, you can make connections in that hospital, increase your chances to get a job there later. Go for pre-rounds, present rounds, do examinations, all of that stuff. Basically, figure out what the NHS system is like. In the NHS, everything is done on the computer. There's no pen and you're writing down notes on a file. Everybody's records from birth till death are all on their NHS system, which is on the computer. So even if you have a cough and you went to the GP, it will be recorded. That's why I guess history taking must be very easy in the UK. But basically, this is to get some sort of NHS experience. And nowadays, everybody is doing this. So it's better that when you're still in the UK after your UKMLA2, you do an observership, and it takes a lot of time to apply for the attachment as well. Matlab, in this time period, you'll have to send a lot of emails for the attachment. Begging hospitals to allow you to do an attachment there, because there will be hundreds of students trying to get an attachment at the same time. Okay, try to secure an attachment during this time, and you will be doing your attachment around here. All right, you got your GMC registration, and this entire time, this is just job application. This is the worst part of the UKMLA pathway, the job application, because like I said, it takes average of 7 months. There are some people wait for like a year. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. You guys can screenshot this if you want. If you'll understand later, you can screenshot this. This is basically everything you have to get done during your UKMLA pathway. Do we earn during FY2, or is it our own? You earn during FY2. FY2 stipend is around 30 to 35,000 per year, pounds. And after taxes and all, that's around 2.3 to 2.4 lakhs per month. And rent over there, and it sounds like a lot, but rent over there is 50 to 70, 80,000 per month. If you're living in London, it could even be 1 lakh per month. So it all depends on your budgeting skills and how much do you spend on shopping and eating out. Are you just buying groceries to eat? That's 20,000. Okay. For how long is our UKMLA 1 marks valid? I think it's for 2 years. I actually forgot to confirm this, but I will confirm this once I'm done with this. I'll write it down somewhere. Any other questions for the pathway? There's more. I'll come to the cost and the MCQs.
Regarding IELTS and the other English test, and how long is that valid for?
Yeah, IELTS and OET are valid for 2 years, and you have to have it valid when you're applying for UKMLA 1. So within 2 years of giving your IELTS OET, you should apply for UKMLA 1 on the GMC online. So, all right. This is the cost of each step. Like I've just explained everything that you need. This is the cost of each step. You can take a screenshot of this as well, of each step of PLAB. Total 4 to 5 lakhs. 5 lakhs is stretching it, but around 4 lakhs is what your entire cost is going to be. And this is something like, some people, maybe their parents don't want to financially support them for this. You can earn this much working as a JR in India itself. JRs in India, in Delhi at least, they get around 50 to 80, right? You can work for around 8 months as a JR in India and fund your own trip to the UK. So OET is more expensive than IELTS. I'll just compare OET and IELTS after this. OET is around 31,000 and IELTS is around 15 to 17,000 rupees. PLAB 1 is 28,000 rupees. If you like, it depends on the exchange rate that day, but study material for PLAB 1 is usually mocks and an MCQ bank. MCQ bank has to be your holy Bible. We'll come to all of that later. Thank God, it's just been half an hour. And study material for PLAB 2 is fairly more expensive, which is around 1,06,000. If you roughly estimated, 981 pounds is the cost for PLAB 2. Compared to USMLE, this is much better. USMLE cost 24 to 25 lakhs total if you consider everything, going there for electives, blah, blah, blah. And even the study material for USMLE 1 itself is 1 lakh. USMLE 1 itself is 1 lakh. Study material is 1 lakh. It all just adds up. PLAB is much cheaper compared to that. Study material for PLAB 2 is a little more expensive because tutors have to teach you everything. It's around 10 to 15 days of class. Then you go to the academy, you book your offline mocks. That's also like 8,000. Okay, so study material can go from 35 to 50,000. Again, usme bhi if you budget, if you find free materials online, there's PLAB students, I don't know what it is with them, but they all somehow pirate everything. You can find PLAB 1 ke material online for free, PLAB 2 ke material online for free. But of course, it's much better to actually have the MCQ bank or have somebody teach it to you, because with so much information and so much material, it gets dimag kharab ho jata hai. So you will spend some on study material. Visit visa around 10,000. Flight round trip, you can see according to your dates. and accommodation also. It depends how long you're staying there. Some people stay there for 3 months before their exam. They practice every day. I don't know how to do it, but that depends. For around 20 days, 50 to 70, and GMC registration, which you have to renew every 3 years, is around 47,000. So all of this is included. You have to consider all this in your stipend as well. If you're getting a stipend of 2.3, 2.5 lakhs per month, you have to buy groceries, which is 20,000 per month. You have to pay your rent, it can go from 50 to 1 lakh. Your shopping, your GMC registration every 3 years. There's a lot of stuff. So it sounds like a lot, but it all comes down to your budgeting. So OET and IELTS. Okay, OET and IELTS, you can choose. IELTS is a very general English exam. It's just anybody in the world can give it. I gave it in my 12th. I thought I was going to apply, to the UK or USA for medical school also. So I gave it in 12th, and I personally did not like the randomness of it. And when I had to give the English exam for PLAB, I gave OET because OET is healthcare based. You must know IELTS mein there is reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and even in OET, same thing. But the difference is in IELTS, if they give you like a reading passage, they'll give you something entirely random. It could be like oil crisis in the USA, or it could be um, friends going to. It could literally be anything. So it's not ki in OET your reading material could be paracetamol overdose ka passage, which is much easier to read, I think, for us. But again, OET is more expensive, etc., etc. Listening may in OET it will be like a conversation between two healthcare professionals, or you'll be listening to a conversation between a doctor and a patient. Uske hisab se you will have to answer one line or MCQ. In IELTS कुछ भी हो सकता है. It could just be between two friends. Writing में you're writing a referral letter to a nurse or doctor. I think this is the main reason I chose OET, because in IELTS the writing that I was given was a random essay, right? In IELTS you have to write an essay on whatever topic they give you. It could be what is your opinion. It's like a debate almost. You're writing in a debate form the essay in IELTS. In OET you will be writing a referral letter or a referral email. In OET, speaking is you're speaking to a patient, and usme there'll be IPS marks and how well you're speaking English. And are you empathizing with the patient? There's no medical knowledge needed. But for me as an intern, I thought it was easier to interact with the patient than talk about my last hangout with my friends, which would be in IELTS. In 12th, my IELTS thing was, when was the last time you hung out with your friends and how was it? My brain personally goes blank, but some people prefer IELTS because people end up scoring well in IELTS and it's cheaper. So this is the difference between OET and IELTS. IELTS is cheaper. There's more high chance of getting the marks that you need. For FY2, which is your second internship or your job in the UK, you need to score 7.5 in all of reading, writing, speaking, writing. OET, you need to score more than 400. Okay, and IELTS you can use for any PG abroad, right? Even if you're changing careers, IELTS will be the standardized this thing. But OET is more healthcare based, and it's only acceptable for medical professionals. One more thing I did like about OET is that you give OET for USMLE as well. So anyway, it's your choice. IELTS may questions are based on general topics, and OET is all of them are medically oriented. If you do choose I'm not sure about IELTS study material, but everything is online for free. There are so many YouTube study material for IELTS. You don't need to spend 1 rupee or whatever, £1 on prep for your OET and IELTS. Even OET, all of the study material on the official OET site is also enough. You open YouTube and open the official OET or IELTS site, you will find everything you need. Okay, and prep is 1 to 3 weeks depending on your English skills. Some people prefer to take 1 more month. That's up to you. So when is the earliest that you can give MLA 1? You want to start preparing, you're in first year. You want to start preparing now only. This is only during internship, because you cannot apply for UKMLA 1 without your final year passing marks. You can apply once you've gotten your final year mark sheet or provisional passing certificate and your English passing marks. You cannot apply on your GMC online unless you have a paper saying that this is how much you got in final year and you've passed. But if you just apply right after that, you can get a seat in internship itself. You don't have to wait until after internship. What are the minimum marks for IELTS? Like I said, 7.5. and because she's asking, after passing both the exams, the gap to secure a job is 7 months to 1 year. Can we work during that? Yeah, you can work. Everybody works during that period. Nobody starts home. Again, dimag kharab ho jata hai. You're sitting at home alone with nothing to do. You are forgetting your medical knowledge. Most people do JRship while they're waiting for a job. After they get GMC registration, they do their attachment. They come back to India. They work as a JR, and while they're doing the JRship, they just keep applying. Yeah, you cannot apply on the site for PLAB 1 seats, MLA seats without OET or IELTS results. So plan accordingly, okay? Like I said, likes or ask ki OET, it only stays valid for 2 years. So you have to plan ki you are applying for UKMLA within that time, and try also getting your MLA2 done within the time that it's valid, okay? You have to plan all of this accordingly. You have to plan, you have to see, create an online GMC account, see when is the next date that the seats are releasing, give your English exam like 2-3 months before that, get your results, and then apply, okay? UKMLA 1 is held 4 times a year: February, May, August, and November. So when is the earliest you can give it? If everybody's, I'm sure internship starts in April, right? April 1st. So April, you guess earliest you can do is November. I've heard of people giving it in November in their internship itself. November, February, May, August, you probably won't be able to apply because the seats would be over. But if you're lucky, maybe. But earliest usually is November during your internship. It took me 1.5 months to prepare, but that's only because I'm used to last minute study. I just go extra focus mode in the last moment. So 1.5 month is also possible. I know people who have finished it in 1 month. They've passed PLAB 1 in 1 month. But to be safe, if you are doing it during internship, you come back home, you come back tired. So keep at least 4 to 6 months to prepare. And it's held in the UK and also in India or wherever you are in the Gulf countries, UAE, whatever. These are the main cities that it's held in: Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata. There's more. It all depends ki seats kahan pe release hui hai. You will all have to see on the date of your release. All the updates you need for MLA 1, 2 are on the official GMC site. So again, create a GMC online account. It asks you a lot of stuff during your college itself. So okay. Again, like I said, time prepared for MLA1 all depends on your study habits. Are you somebody who usually takes longer to study for your profs, or you start 1 month before, or you start in the beginning of the year? It all depends on that. It's not any different. Average is 3 to 6 months. If you are doing it alongside a job or internship, keep 4 to 6 months. It takes time to build the momentum as well. It's not like you'll start today and it'll be the same as I'm doing it 1 week before the exam. So usi ke according, it's up to you. You decide according to yourself. And yeah, if you're free from a job, you can study from morning to night. 2 to 3 months is also doable. Okay. Why do some people still fail PLAB 1? I'm sure many people would have been on like Facebook pages, and where people are like, I failed PLAB 1, I'm giving my second attempt, I'm giving my third attempt. Why does that happen? It is happening because either they thought that their medical knowledge from college was enough, or they used the wrong preparation material. They didn't cover all the topics, they ran out of time, or they didn't revise properly and they didn't do any mocks. They did not understand what the paper was going to look like. Okay, if you're failing PLAB 1, it means that you have not fully understood what the UK requires, what they are asking of you. They want you to follow their exact protocol. They have very different protocols. They care more about patient-centered care. They care ki according to our flowchart for this specific disease, what is the next thing you're going to do? You don't have to think ki India mein kya karte hain, or if the person is about to this thing, I think according to my this thing, this should happen. No, it is exactly according to the MCQ bank that you're choosing. If you're using PLABable, okay, common prep material is MedRevisions, which is what I use, which I think is the best. Personally, I've never heard anybody failing with MedRevisions. I've heard of people failing with PLABable, but do what with that information what you want. MedRevisions, PLABable, which is the most popular. PlabKeys is basically reading material. It's not an MCQ bank, but it's really good for going through all the topics really fast, just scrolling through the PDFs. I'll show you what PlabKeys look like, and I'll show you what MedRevisions look like. That's mainly the two things that I use. PLAB Verse and Past Medicines are also other MCQ banks. Uske alawa bhi there are more. But I would trust PLABable and MedRevisions. You can choose any one. You don't have to do pura PLABable, pura MedRevisions kar liya. In fact, what I did was I had less time. I just ticked high yield in MedRevisions. I didn't even finish the whole of MedRevisions. I did the high yield questions and I got more than average marks. So I'll tell you how MedRevisions can be used. But again, you can take a screenshot of this. You use this as your Bible. If you're choosing MedRevisions, choosing PLABable, use it as your Bible, use it as your study material. You don't need to open your MBBS books, your standardized books, or your notes. You just need to open this MCQ bank, do all the questions, read all the explanations of the answers again and again. And at one point, once you go through the questions, you realize you've almost memorized all the questions in it. And it has quite a lot of questions, 4,000 to 5,000 in MedRevisions, I think 3,000 to 3,000 in PLABable. But if you have those on your fingertips, you're more than ready for the exam. And one problem that students often have in UKMLA 1 is time management. Even in my exam and my friend's exam who gave it with me, they just finished the last question when the bell rang. Just. So you need to do mocks. You need to do timed mocks before your exam to figure out how slow or how fast to solve each question. The best trick I found to doing the questions fast was to read the options first, then the last line, and then the full question. Because when you read the options, you know what they're expecting of you. Okay, they're giving me drug names, or they're giving. You can figure out which topic it's from the options itself. Then the last line is what is the next appropriate management, or what is the most likely diagnosis. Then when you read the question, you know exactly what you're looking for. So that way it saves time. You don't have to keep coming back to the main question to figure out, what it is. So yeah, I want to show you how simple PLAB questions are. I have MedRevisions has very kindly given me access to their MCQ bank, so I can show to you guys only. And we can go through 2-3 questions. You guys will have to answer for me, and then we'll see if it's right or wrong. And I'll explain how to use this. Okay. See the MCQ, it says dashboard.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, so this is the dashboard. All right. One sec. Let me minimize this. Yeah. This is, you can set your exam date over here. Okay, supposing my exam date is in November 20th. Okay, I choose that. And usi ke hisab se you'll get to this thing. There are all of these topics here. There are separate notes as well over here in the library, but I would recommend don't read the notes first. There are too many and it's very random. You just do the MCQs and then we'll see according to that. So I think emergency medicine I found quite easy. So all right. So let me find something you guys would know. Okay, so for example, this is which substance abuse is it? She's coming untidy. She visits the hospital asking for painkillers for her abdomen pain. She's agitated. She looks malnourished. These are all signs they're trying to. There are something called clinchers. They'll give you a specific word or they'll give you a specific line that should tell you what exactly they want from you. That is why when you go through an MCQ bank again and again, you'll figure out what are those specific lines that you need to know to, know what to answer. So what do you think this is? People can answer in the chat. Ecstasy, LSD. Okay, somebody saying A. She's sweating and shivering and complains of abdominal pain. So that means in your notes or when you finally do study, you will know what are the symptoms of. So let's go with A. All right. Okay. So this is wrong. What is the answer? Heroin. So each of these, they'll tell you why is it wrong, and they'll tell you why is this right. And uske niche, if you scroll, you'll see all of the opioid notes. Okay, heroin mein kya hota hai, ecstasy mein kya hota hai, cocaine mein kya hota hai, LSD mein kya hota hai. See, for LSD, the clincher will be floating colors, hearing smell, or like hearing colors and all of that. That is your clincher for LSD. So every time you do an MCQ, you read these and then you read the notes. and the topics will start repeating. So once you go down and you'll see this, you'll be like, okay, ye to padha hai, I know what is in this. Or if you don't remember, you can read it again. Okay, this is very simple and very straightforward. Like over here, okay, 72-year-old male presents with 2-day history of productive cough, shortness of breath. He has chills and rigors. He has a temperature. His respiratory rate is high. His pulse rate is high. His blood pressure is low. And his saturation is also low. Bronchial breath sounds are heard on periphery. And he has been given 1 liter of normal saline. Uske baad bhi, his BP is low. Okay, somebody with some sort of chest infection because he's coming with SOB, he has fever, he has low blood pressure, and even after 1 liter of normal saline, his blood pressure is still low. If somebody has studied 3rd and 4th year, agar they have gone into internship, you guys would know these are signs of sepsis, right? Fever hai, BP is low, infection, source of infection, and ABG pe lactate. Anyway, all of that is irrelevant. You would know from your internship knowledge itself that this is some sort of sepsis. What they want to see is, do you know if it's sepsis, severe sepsis, or septic shock? So इसमें mainly what PLAB is asking you कि do you know कि अगर तुमने 1 liter normal saline देने के बाद भी BP low है, do you know that this is when it's called shock? All right. So I'll do septic shock, right? Septic shock is characterized severe sepsis with persistently low blood pressure. That's all they're asking of you. They just want to see कि हमने बोला कि हमने 1 liter normal saline दिया और BP तब भी low है. So same like this, and नीचे you can read the notes. You can make your own notes separately to revise later on as well. All right, give 3, take 3 in sepsis, and these are all stuff you'll know at the end of final year. There's nothing new than what you haven't studied in MBBS. It's not like NEET कि you study all these MCQs and exam में कुछ उल्टा आ रहा है. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. मतलब when I gave the MLA 1, I felt like उन्हें MEDREVISION से उठा के questions उसमें डाले. इतने similar थे. Maybe the name is different, maybe the temperature is different, but very, very similar questions. So there's no need to worry कि PLAB 1 कर नहीं पाओगे या very easy stuff. Look at this. A&E, stabbing in the groin with knife, matlab it's close to your femoral artery, so that's bad, right? He used a towel to stop the bleeding. His blood pressure is low, his pulse is high. What is the most appropriate initial management? Does anybody want to guess? Wrong answer bhi de do, tab bhi theek hai. Just guess. 5, blood transfusion. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I'll go with 5 because I have 2 options that are saying 5. Okay. And keep in mind that they have come to the A&E. You are a doctor in the A&E. Okay, you're not a surgeon. You're not a medicine resident. You are an A&E doctor. Okay. So the answer is IV fluids. Over here, what are they testing? You have to do ABCD in any emergency situation. ABCD is the most important. And if your BP is low, the first thing you have to do is bring that BP up. We will take time in sending bloods, cross-matching, getting the right bloods. The first thing you can do in that room is put IV fluids. It will take time for the blood to come, right, from the blood bank. In an emergency situation, even if you go through this in your internship year, you know कि उसमें पूरा form भरना पड़ता है, PG का stamp लेना पड़ता है. It's a long process. You start with IV fluids, and you can read the explanation here as well. First IV fluids are started, then you get a cross match for blood transfusion. Once bleeding is controlled and volume is normalized, then transfusion levels can be maintained. All right, and niche you can read again. See, the earlier question was also about shock, and this is not the only kind of question. There's something about ethics questions also, which is very, honestly, I find it kind of funny, but I'll also tell you about this. There are different, you can see what are the answered questions. They'll give you only the answered questions. Or this is what I did, attempt, recalls, yeah, high yield only. If you just do these, even then you can pass with good marks. See, it's gone to 76 questions from the earlier, there were 200 questions before. If you just do these 76 questions and get them at the tip of your fingers, uske baad you move on to the rest of the 130 questions that there are. Okay, let's just do high yield questions. And this is a new thing that they've introduced, which is all be focus study. Okay, these are the kind of questions which a lot of people lose marks in because they don't know what the UK system is like. Husband brings a 75-year-old wife to the clinic. she's been on medication for dementia. He complains that she wakes up, walks out of the house. This is worrying. So he's locked up his wife in the bedroom every night for the past 2 months while he sleeps on the couch. Okay, what is the most appropriate action for you? Okay, they have come to the clinic. This means GP clinic. That means you are a GP doctor. What we could, I'll go through the reading options wala later. What is the most appropriate action? Advise the husband to continue locking up his wife in the bedroom. Increase the dosage of the wife dementia medication. Refer the couple to social services. Suggest the husband to hire a nighttime caregiver, or recommend a psychiatric evaluation for the wife. Does anybody have any idea? This is purely guessing, but in your exam, you should never be guessing an ethics question ever. Bahut marks you will lose if you start guessing ethics questions. Doing ethics question in your MCQ bank is very, very important because they have certain guidelines for ethical scenarios as well. Okay, 2 people are saying 4. So let's do that. And the answer is refer the couple to social services. Why is 4 wrong? While hiring a nighttime caregiver could be helpful, it is not financially feasible. It might not be financially feasible. What is the most simple thing? You give them support. Nighttime caregiver matlab koi bahar se aa raha hai, andar aa. Even I found this very confusing. Like, how the hell am I supposed to know, right? If you do enough MCQs for ethics, internal medicine, cardio, whatever, at some point you'll start understanding what their system is like. So don't worry about these ethics questions. Also, you do 76, you do 200. After some point, you'll start figuring it out. Referring the couple to social services is the most appropriate action. Ab exam mein kaise aayega? Exam mein some old person will come. They'll tell them that my wife is locking me up, and they'll ask you what to do next. Now, because you remembered this question कि हमने social services को refer किया था, you know the answer is social services. All right? इसमें usually notes होते हैं. I don't know why दिए नहीं है. Now we can look at a question जिसमें we read the options first, and then read the question, and then read the this thing. What do you guys want to do? Derma, ENT? Okay, let's do ENT. कोई भी question choose करते हैं. No, let's do higher. Okay, so first we read the options. Amoxicillin, nasal steroids, congestants, intranasal saline. So we figure out ये कुछ ENT से है, and they want us to answer the treatment, right? What is the single most appropriate initial management for this patient? Initial management. So now we know what they expect and what are the options. We know. Now we'll start reading the question. 35-year-old man presents to the GP with 7-day history of headache, facial pain, pressure around the eyes and cheeks. Now this is a clincher in PLAB. If you study, you'll know that pain around the face and cheek is a sign of sinusitis. And even in real life, if somebody comes to you, you'll know okay, some sort of sinusitis there is. Okay. He also reports a thick yellowish nasal discharge, low-grade fever, and thick yellowish nasal discharge, some sort of infection. Fever, again, probably some sort of inflammation on the body, and it's just confirming our diagnosis of sinusitis. He had a cold 2 weeks ago that seemed to resolve, but now his symptoms have returned. So what do you guys think? This is specifically कि तुमने notes में did you write the treatment of choice? Do you remember the treatment of choice? If you know this, you know it. If you don't know it, तुक्का मार सकते हो, but it's most probably going to be wrong. Any guesses? And all of them are very similar, so you guys can just guess. Okay, somebody said 2. Somebody said 5. And just keep in mind कि it resolved a while ago, cold भी था, and अब वापस आ गया है. Okay, nasal corticosteroids, which is 2. Okay, I have 2 people for 2, so let's do that. And the answer is amoxicillin. Beginning में, when you start doing these questions, you'll get a little demotivated thinking ki, why is it not this? Why is it not that? If you do enough questions, at some point you'll start getting them right. So over here, it should start looking like 20 reds and 3 greens. फिर यहाँ पे 10 reds and 5 greens. ऐसे करके, by the time you reach slide 7, you would have way more greens than reds, because even this specific question is going to repeat later on. Okay, enough. That's enough questions. I'll also show you PlabKeys. PlabKeys is basically a PDF, which is quite big. So isme it's itna bada page hai. It's not a lot of information on each page. You can just scroll through this one by one, just read stuff. You'll know all of it by the end of the MCQ bank. If there's anything that is missing, you can just read through these. I would recommend कि इनके revision notes भी आते हैं. These are too many, honestly. I did not do this. There's something called revision notes. There will be around 4-5 PDFs only of 300-400 pages each. You just read through them, speed read through them 1 or 2 days, over 1 or 2 days. Just go through it and you would be fully prepared for PLAB 1. You finish your MCQ, you finish PlabKeys ka revision notes, you've given 1 or 2 mocks, you're done. All right. So it's not hard. It's not like NEET PG at all. मतलब NEET PG में you study something, exam में कुछ और आता है. It's hard also. So yeah, there's nothing to worry about. You just need to prepare properly. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing this. You can. I don't want to go through this the whole thing because काफी time हो गया. Just screenshot this. If you want to know exactly how I studied for it, like I said, यहाँ नीचे revision notes पे I did. First, I did the high yield option. I completed all the subjects के MCQs, all of them, especially ethics. I made notes, and there's something called PLABable gems as well. If you just go to the PLABable website, there's something called PLABable gems. It's not 1 GBP, sorry, it's 10 GBP, 1,000 rupees. It's like basically Anki. It's like flashcards almost. So every topic has its own set of flashcards. You can use that to make notes. Supposing you were, in fact, I found a PDF of those flash notes. Ab to purana ho gaya. I don't think you should use those, but I printed them out and I just wrote all the MedRevisions ke notes on that. Basically, just make your notes, all of the main points, especially the treatment. It's very, very hard to figure out what is the exact first line treatment, first line management. That is very important in PLAB because it's very different than India. यहाँ पे कुछ भी कर देते हैं लोग, you know, depending on their experience and what has worked for their patient. But in UK, everything is based on their protocol. Everything is based ki this is the flowchart and you have to follow that flowchart. All right. इसका screenshot ले लो. I'll just answer some questions till then. For English language, we were certified in school since it was affiliated with British Council. No, school ka it will not. See, it has to be valid at the time of your PLAB 1. The only 2 accepted English eligibilities are English exams are IELTS and OET. So even if you gave IELTS or OET in school, it's already been 2 years since then. By the time you're in your final year or internship, so you have to give IELTS or OET again. What to do in college? If you're in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, what can you do that improves your chance of getting a job? This is you're building your portfolio. You don't need to study for PLAB 1 back then. You don't need to do anything except build your portfolio and enjoy college. I don't think I wasted even 1 day of college back then because your portfolio will eventually reflect your personality, which will help you during your interviews. If you are somebody who dances, go for dancing competitions. Like you'll have something on your CV that shows you who you are. But if you want to build it specifically towards your training job, again, agar internal medicine training karni hai, then you have to do it according to the portfolio of internal medicine eligibility. If you want to do surgery, that's different. So I'm going to take internal medicine as an example and explain that. So in internal medicine application, there are 7 headings. Have you done any PG course? Have you got any teaching experience? But you need to teach medical students, not biology. Any additional achievements like distinction or academic awards, any poster presentations and conferences, quality improvement projects, leadership roles, publications. So all of these have different scoring for each of them. Agar supposing you want to go into research, you want to gain marks in research. So you can do an STS project. You can ask your PSM department. They'll tell you what it is. STS project is where they give you a mentor. You find a mentor and you do a research project and get it published. But in training, you need to have your research published. It does not matter if you just written it and kahin pe, PubMed index nahi hai, it's not on the internet, it's not on PubMed, it doesn't matter. You have to have it published on PubMed, okay? So for example, I can go to, So this is the scoring for publications. So 8 marks, which is the highest marks, would be I'm first author or joint first author, 1 or more PubMed cited original research publications. Then उसी के हिसाब से you get marks. I am the first author of 1 or other publications or press, case report, review, letter, वगैरह वगैरह. That will get you 3 marks. This is for a poster presentation. Are you doing some sort of poster presentation in the conferences? There are so many conferences in college. every week there's going to be some message on your like college group ki yahan pe conference ho raha hai, yahan pe medical CMA ho raha hai. There's a lot of options. So if you have a case report, if you have a case study, you're in internship, you found a nice case that you want to write about, it's just 2 pages. Case study is 2 pages. You can present that at a conference, and usi ke hisab se you can get marks. You can add it in your portfolio. Oral presentation, which I was first second author, or a poster in which I was first second author at a regional or local medical meeting, international medical meeting, which is basically conferences. So according to this, you get marked, okay? So these are the headings for internal medicine training. If you want to do surgery, if you want to do internal, if you want to do GP is not internal medicine. It's different. Even the Royal College exam for GP is different. So what you have to do is you search on the internet called XYZ training person specifications. So if I want to do internal medicine training, IMT, I'll search internal medicine training person specifications on Google. If I want to do surgery, it's called core surgery training. So then you write core surgery training person specification. Then an NHS site will come and will tell you exactly what you need to get good marks in your portfolio. Another really good YouTube channel that you should check out is Road to UK. This is like a really, really good YouTube channel. They tell you everything in detail, everything you possibly want to know about the UK pathway, about training, about job applications, everything. Even if you want to go to the UK from MRCP route, which is different, if you don't need to give PLAB, you work here in as a non-ACAD JR in internal medicine for 2-3 years, give your MRCP and go directly to the UK. That's also a separate pathway, and it's equally as valid as PLAB. That's again an entirely different conversation, but this is what people usually do when they've done their MD or they don't want to do the UK, they want to stay here for longer, anyway. And oh yeah, somebody asked about average pay. So FY2 junior doctor, it increases every year, but your first non-training and non-ACAD JR-ship, it is around 30,000-35,000 pounds per year. So after tax and deduction, 2.3-2.4 lakhs per month. Rent, vagera, sab kuch mein, travel, all of that, if you cut it down, eating out, you can save around 700 to 1,000 according to your budgeting skills per month. So if somebody wants to pay back their parents or something, you can do that within like half a year or 1 year. And yeah, there's extra pay for weekends, extra pay for night shift during weekday. If you do locum, it's very well paid. Normal base pay is not very well paid. It's like 15 to 18 pounds per hour, which is almost, it's very close to minimum wage. But yeah, as a locum, you get paid quite a lot. And you get 2 offs per week minimum. So yeah, so the work-life balance is quite good there. Consultant salary, which is around after 8 years, you can earn as much. It's quite a long thing. Okay, I think that's it. We've got an hour and a half. Okay, I can answer any questions if anybody has. And if you want to follow my journey, you can follow me on Instagram, dr.shix. I'll hopefully try to post some PLAB stuff there. I guess you guys have gotten everything. I'll probably post that later, but I'm giving my PLAB 2 in November, so you can follow along if you want. Does anybody have any more questions? I think I've...
So just one thing, Srinidhi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, thank you for excellent explanation and taking the time to do it. Much appreciated. If you had to go back in time and do something different to get your PLAB application a bit more preferential to improve your CV upon, what would you advise for the guys in their second and third year or so on? In addition to the exams, what else would be helpful?
I would have probably gotten a publication out there. I've written papers, I've written narrative reviews and systemic reviews with other students, but they haven't gotten published yet, and it's not valid. They don't really hold much value unless it is PubMed indexed, published on the internet. So I think if I had to go back in time, I would do that. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do back then, so I was mostly doing extracurricular dance and music. I had my own startup in Delhi.
Absolutely fine. Yeah.
completely unrelated to medicine. So I had like my whole entrepreneurial journey, but if I had to go back in time, I would get a publication out there. The
Couple of
best advice,
publications.
I think the best advice for that is to find MLE students and just gather around, bunch up with them, because MLE students are constantly, they're like an academic machine. They're 2-3 publications they have by the time they've reached the USA. So you can jump onto their papers with them if you're not very sure where to start. Get a good idea, and they'll anyway be working on publishing it. You can help them, and I
Okay.
think by that time I would have had at least one publication. Yeah,
Thank you, and wishing you all the best.
thank you. Okay, some questions in the chat. Is the NHS system really stagnant? It depends on what specialization you want to go in. It's not stagnant, but it does take time. Like if you go to the emergency, it's not like initially in final year and like just before internship, I thought emergency was like my calling in life. I thought it was my passion. I was like, this is what I'm born for. Because in India, emergency is you are in one big room. There are like 20 people, 30 people, 50 people in front of you, depending on the hospital. And it's basically it's like a puzzle, right? In the UK, A&E, which is what the emergency is called there, it's got like different rooms for each patient, and they are extremely slow compared to India. So when I went there and I saw the A&E there, I decided I wanted to do something in internal medicine, some sort of hands-on thing, because I wanted to do surgery also. So that way, yeah, it might be a little slower, because you can't just go straight away to a derma. You can't go straight to a radio if you want. You can't go straight to a pediatrics doctor if you want. You have to go to the GP. If it's not an emergency, you go to the GP, and then they'll refer you to them after like 2, 3, 6 weeks. If it's really needed, then 2 weeks. If it's an emergency, then they'll send you to the A&E. So that way, I think as a citizen, NHS is a little annoying compared to India. But as a doctor, I think it's really good if you want to learn at a good pace. You want to learn very patient oriented medicine. Over here, what I personally thought was lacking in India, ki there's nobody's really teaching you exactly what to do in a situation. They're not telling you what is the first thing to do real time, right? What we study for NEET and then we go to the ward, it's completely different. But in UK, it's very like it's a proper flow chart. You'll know exactly what to do and what is the next step, and you'll be basically practicing medicine by the book. That's something that I like. So yeah, it could be a little slower for the patients, but I think as a doctor, it's good. You get a good work-life balance. You have a life outside the hospital. You can learn. NHS training is world-renowned. So if anybody wants to settle only in India, is it useful getting a training in UK just for experience? Some people do that. There are two ways people do that. Some people go give PLAB right after their college. They go to the UK. They do training for like 4-6 years, and then they come back, and then they practice in big hospitals or like very fancy hospitals. They get paid a lot, and uh, they're very patient oriented, so it's a good way to practice. In fact, I was working as a resident medical officer in Max 2 months ago. I worked there for 2 months, and out of like out of the gynae consultants, 3 out of I think 5-6 gynae consultants, 3 of them had studied in the UK and come back after their MD. Like they did their MD here, they went there, cleared their Royal College exams, got the MRCOG, and then came back and studied here. And they told me that they practice medicine here the same way that it is practiced there, because the way you approach a patient is very different. If any of you have done internship or attended in the hospital, the way people treat doctors in India is very, very different. Matlab, sometimes you don't explain to them what their condition is. You just say, "Acha, ye kha lo, wo kha lo." In UK, you have to explain to them what is going on with them. Clear all their doubts, and if they are getting a little angry or getting upset, there's a protocol for that as well. So you learn very well how to deal with patients. So definitely it's good for your career progression, I think, to go there to get some experience, but you'll have to figure out your pathway there. Then do you want to go there, study for 6-8 years and come back, save money and spend it here, or Do you want to do your MD here, learn what it's like in India, go there to get an extra certification like MRCUG, MRCP, jo bhi hai, and then come back? But there's nothing in practice. Even here, if you do an extra some sort of training, it will help you in seeing your patients, right? I'm in third year, and to do publications are not possible now. What should be done? Do it in fourth year, do it in internship, do it during your FY2. If you don't want to do publications yourself, you can help other people do it and get your name on them. You don't have to be first, second. You can be third author, fourth author. Or like I showed you, there are other stuff also. Quality improvement projects. That's not a publication. Quality improvement projects happen in the hospital. You can go to the hospital and ask them, are they doing some sort of audit or quality improvement project? You can get onto that. But usually this is something people do in the UK. Leadership roles. Let's see the leadership role here. This is the leadership role, wala. I have held a national or regional leadership in demonstrating making an impact. So it could be in charity, sports, creative arts, national level. It could be anything. So we have medical student organizations, right? Like IFMS, like who's hosting this with me today. AMSA, all of that stuff. Or if you have some sort of NGO, hold some sort of leadership role in that and see according to these markings. If you want to do surgery, go see the surgery person specifications, what exactly they want. उनका अलग है. They don't, in surgery, they don't have any PG course का heading. They don't have this number one thing. So it's different. What else can you do? Academic awards, give some academic awards usually are awarded in college, but in medical fest, there are a lot of quizzes and all of that stuff. Get some sort of academic achievements. You can present other people's posters also in conferences, but like over here, you can see oral presentation in which I was first or second author. Even for marks too, it's first or second author too. What you can do is academic achievements. You can do some sort of leadership roles, help people with publications. Okay. Teaching experience is valid if you taught medical students, not if you taught like NEET UG students. So if you are in final year, you could teach officially people in first year or second year, but you'll have to figure out an official way of doing that. Usually people do this in like JRships because then they can teach bedside. Bedside teaching is also valid, by the way, over here. Like in your internship, if you teach medical students, that's valid. Okay, there is no more research projects for final year for IC. What else should you don't need to do it with ICMR at all. You can do it with anybody. You can just do it independently on your own, or you can go to any consultant and say, "Ki, I want to do a project. Can you tell me what can be done? Do you have any ideas?" ICMR is just what ICMR does is it pays you to do the project. Like it'll give you around 50, 60,000. So it funds you. That's the only difference. And it'll be like ICMR certified. But you don't need any sort of body to tell you that you have to do research. You want to do a research today, you figure out a topic that you like, you start today, you start now. There's no need to do it through ICMR. What you can also do is go to your, supposing you have interest in ENT, so go to the ENT department, go to the HOD and tell them, ki, I want to do a project. Is there any ongoing project in the department? You can join that also. Internship mein also, if is there any audit going on? Audit is like a small way of figuring out if things are working well. So ICMR, no need to do through ICMR. You do it with anybody. Do it with the USMLE aspirants. There are multiple Cambridge courses related to public available online to the count as well. If it's a proper PG course, like there are like there's a master's in public health, that does count. Like right now I showed you in IMT, in your IMT application. See over here, any PG course that will contribute to your, I haven't added that, but it'll contribute to your thing. If you want to do surgery, then it won't, because the surgery job application eligibility is a little different. So they have different headings there. So just see according to what specialty you want to go to and see if the PG thing is giving you marks there. There's no questions. I think we can end the meeting then. If you have any more questions or anything specific, just message me on Instagram. I reply faster on Instagram than on WhatsApp because I'm a part of a lot of groups on on WhatsApp, so it gets lost. Text me on Instagram and ask any more questions that you have. Okay. Bye, guys.